This is Newscene39 with anchors Jim Hemphill and Ann White. Weather by Jim Conlon. Sports with Chuck Carpenter.
Good evening. Salvage crews are on the scene near Tama, working to clear debris and repair track damaged by yesterday's derailment of 2 Chicago and Northwestern trains. Here's a report.
The cleanup process is underway after the derailment of 22 cars and 3 engines from 2 separate trains yesterday near Tama. The Chicago and Northwestern Railway has restored service to the westbound track, but the eastbound railway remains closed until repair crews can remove the debris from the area and repair the track that was damaged by the derailment. The westbound track is currently handling rail traffic in both directions over a 3-mile stretch. The trains passing through the area, however, are moving at a very slow rate. The pileup occurred at about 4:20 yesterday morning when 7 cars of a westbound train derailed on the border of the Meskwaki Indian settlement about 2 miles west of Tama. 1 car extended over the eastbound tracks, causing the derailment of 3 engines and the first 15 cars of an eastbound train. An investigator from the National Transportation Safety Board said the crew on the first train may not have known it had a derailment when the 116-car train was stopped by its emergency brakes. He said the crew was unable to find out why the train stopped before the other train approached. 1 unidentified crew member was treated and released at Marshalltown Medical and Surgical Center for minor injuries. County gravel roads in the area were blocked off today to accommodate the large number of salvage vehicles in use. Officials said they hoped to have the eastbound railway open by Friday, but a security guard said he doubted if the area would be cleared by then. When asked for an estimate of how long the cleanup would take, he replied, "God only knows."
A traffic accident yesterday at the intersection of South 3rd Avenue and Southridge caused high property damage and saw a charge filed against a Marshalltown woman. Police say a car driven by Betty Wilkins ran through the stop intersection and struck a pickup truck operated by Kevin Knutson, also a city resident. There were no injuries in the mishap. Wilkins was charged with failure to yield at a stop sign. Damage was estimated at around $4,000.
A Marshalltown junior high student and his math teacher left today for a national mathematics competition in Washington, D.C. Mike Ford, a 7th grader at Miller Junior High, will be competing in the Math Counts contest tomorrow. Mike won the Iowa competition on April 4th and will be part of a 4-member all-star team representing the state. He will be accompanied by Miller math teacher Bill Ormston, who earned the honor of coaching the Iowa team by having coached the state individual champion. Other students on the team are from Council Bluffs, Dubuque, and Cedar Rapids. TV39 talked with Mike and Coach Ormston after the victory at state, and they both said they expected the competition at nationals to be very tough. They added that although students from large eastern schools have dominated math counts in the past, they hope for a good showing tomorrow in Washington.
Well, as if once wasn't enough, for the 2nd time this year, a Mount Pleasant minister and his wife face a jail sentence for refusing to obey state education laws. A Henry County magistrate today convicted the Reverend T.N. Taylor and Taylor's wife Sharon and another Mount Pleasant couple of violating laws requiring attendance at schools with certified teachers. Earlier this year, Taylor and his wife both were jailed for a month for the same offense. Also convicted today were Kyle and Rebecca Carricker. Fundamentalist Christians who want to educate their children in church or at home schools have been fighting for a change in the laws. A bill to relax the state requirements failed to win support in the final hours of the Iowa legislative session that ended last weekend. Now, one of those who worked for a change in the state's compulsory attendance laws is Lee Dye, pastor of Marshalltown's Fellowship Baptist Church and administrator of the Central Iowa Christian Academy. In an interview with Newscene39 yesterday, Dye said he hoped to avoid any conflict with authorities over the operation of his school. Sentencing for the Taylors and the Carrickers was set for June 25th. The Taylors were found guilty on 2 counts each of violating the state school attendance requirements. They were accused of failing to have their 2 children attend public school or receive equivalent instruction from a certified teacher. The Carrickers were found guilty on 1 count each of the same charge involving their son. The maximum penalty on each charge is 30 days in the county jail or a $100 fine.
A defense lawyer said today that Dale Royer was suffering from an uncontrollable mental disorder the night he set a fire that killed 2 sons of his former Iowa State University computer science instructor. Public Defender Julia Kiefer told a jury in Story County District Court in Nevada that Royer has been diagnosed as a paranoid schizophrenic and was unable to distinguish between right and wrong on the night of December 2nd when he set the fire in Ames. The opening statements were offered in the trial of the 26-year-old Coon Rapids man on 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of first-degree arson. Assistant Story County Attorney Doug Merrick told the jury that Royer had taken some classes with Associate Professor Deepinder Sidhu. He said the professor gave Royer a grade of incomplete in 1 class instead of failing him. He said that Royer later admitted to a friend that he set the fire and was admitted to the psychiatric unit of a Des Moines hospital before his arrest. In an insanity defense, Royer's attorneys must show by a preponderance of the evidence that he was insane. Otherwise, the prosecution must prove Royer is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
We'll be back with more News Scene 39 right after these messages. It's National Hospital Week, with medical centers all over the country holding very special events and opening their doors to visitors. We talked with Marshalltown Medical and Surgical Center Administrator Omar Varan about the activities that have taken place and some upcoming events as well.
We are celebrating National Hospital Week this week. National Hospital Week is an annual observance. It is an opportunity for hospitals to focus attention on what they do and the services that they provide for their community, and give the community a better opportunity to learn about them and the services that they provide. It also gives us an opportunity to recognize our employees and our volunteers and auxilians and board members who work very hard throughout the year, and this is an opportunity for us to recognize what they do. Throughout the week we've had a number of interesting and exciting activities that have been quite varied, a number of fun type things that we have done, one of which is the balloons, which are filled with helium and are floating around all over the hospital. People enjoy those. Our week is going to be concluded on Sunday, this coming Sunday, May 17th, with a tour of the hospital. The public is invited between the hours of 1 and 4 p.m. to come to the hospital and have a tour and see some of the areas that otherwise they may not have seen. We're asking the people to enter by the front entrance, and we think the tour will last about 50 minutes, and so we're certainly inviting people to come over and see their hospital this coming Sunday.
Governor Terry Branstad indicated today that he's not going to have the legislature rush back into a special session to deal with income taxes. The Republican governor earlier expressed displeasure with the regular session of the Democratic-controlled legislature, which raised income taxes but failed to act on a companion bill to cut tax rates. In an interview today, Branstad said he hopes tax revisions will be addressed in the future, and aides to the governor later said there will not be a special session without advance agreement on what action will be taken. The governor has until June 10th to decide whether to sign a bill that eliminates many long-time Iowa income tax deductions and increases state tax revenue by $170 million.
The closing of an Iowa Falls plant was bad news, but the news that it's going to close even sooner is worse. Farmland Foods says it's closing hog slaughtering at its Iowa Falls plant as of today, 3 weeks earlier than scheduled. The company had planned to shut the plant down on June 5th, but it said attrition in the workforce since the plant shutdown was announced left it with too few employees to continue to operate efficiently. It said those workers still on the payroll will be paid through June 5th. The plant had employed more than 300 people before announcing the closing plans earlier this year.
A new poll says that 57% of Iowa's farmers believe the risk in farming has greatly increased in the past 5 years, and another 27% say there has been some increase. The poll of more than 1,900 farmers by Iowa State University says only 4% said they felt like the risk in farming had decreased during the period, and 11% said there had been no change. The director of the ISU Iowa Farm and Rural Life Poll, Extension sociologist Paul Lasley, said results indicate farmers are changing their management and operations to reduce risk. He said 82% say they are paying closer attention to marketing to reduce risk. The poll said 70% of the farmers said they have reduced long-term debt, and an equal number said they have reduced their short-term debt.
Well, we've often heard the term, "you dirty rat," but now we're hearing "you drunken rodent." A free lunch is about over for rats that were getting drunk on fermented grain at an Archer Daniels Midland elevator that exploded last month in Burlington. Well, Des Moines County Sanitarium Jin Holly says most of the fermented grain has been removed. He says the movement of trucks and the cleanup workers apparently has encouraged rogue rats to keep away from the debris along the Mississippi River. Holly inspected the area with Health Department Administrator Charles Russell earlier this week and said he found very little evidence of boom in the rat population or in drunken rats. But if rat infestation becomes a problem, health officials say they will combat it with pounds of poison.
Now for a look at national and world headlines, let's check in with CNN.
In the headlines, kidnappers have released a new videotape of American hostage Alan Steen. He appears in good health and condemned U.S. Mideast policy. Former National Security Advisor Robert McFarlane wrapped up his testimony today, denying he ever met with Saudi King Fahd to solicit money for the Nicaraguan rebels. The nation's trade deficit dropped to just over $13.5 billion in March, and Army troops have staged a coup in the South Pacific island nation of Fiji. With the top stories, I'm Pat St. Clair.
For the details on these and other stories, be sure to stay tuned for CNN Headline News right after News Scene 39.
Jim Conlon will have the weather when we return right after this.
Well, we had a pretty nice day here in the Marshalltown area today. We had a couple of sprinkles of rain come into the area this morning, but it really didn't give any relief to the farmers in the area, and it doesn't look like we're going to have any, at least for the next several days. Right now, let's take a look at our satellite photo, and I'll show you what's been happening across the nation. As you can see, the cloud cover that you see over Iowa is where we did get some of that shower activity early this morning, but again, it was just a few sprinkles. Also some shower and even some thunderstorm activity did occur in the northern part of the state. They did even get some hail up in the north central part of Iowa and also in the northwestern area, and a few severe thunderstorms also occurred in Illinois and also in southern Wisconsin. And they had some thunderstorms down in Texas and also along the Gulf Coast and into Florida and also up along the South Atlantic coast. But elsewhere, the nation remained pretty clear with nice warm temperatures and mild weather. Let's take a look at our map features, and I'll show you what's going to be happening tomorrow. Again, cold front is moving in out of the Pacific Northwest, and it is causing a few rain showers to occur up here in the states of Washington and also in Oregon. Out here on the eastern coast, this is that cold front that did push through Iowa last night that did trigger off some of those thunderstorms up in the northern part of the state. Right now, though, this front is located through Missouri, and it is causing some thunderstorm activity to occur there this evening. By tomorrow, though, it'll stretch all the way from Arkansas all the way up into the New England states, and there will be some showers and thunder showers occurring as that front moves to the southeast. Some showers will also be occurring down here in Alabama, also in Georgia, northern Florida, and also along the seaboard of Florida. But over here in Iowa, we will have plenty of sunshine tomorrow, and with the high pressure moving over to the east, we will have a return of southerly air, and that will cause our temperatures to begin to rise again, and it will be dry, and we may even reach some record-breaking temperatures by Saturday up in the 90-degree mark. We'll be back in a moment to talk about that right after this. Let's take a look at the current conditions for Marshalltown right now, and outside we have 82 degrees. Winds are very light out of the north-northwest. Barometric pressure at 30.06 and rising. Forecast for tonight, mostly clear with a low of 50 degrees. Winds light and variable. Friday sunny, high in the lower 80s. Winds are going to be 5 to 10 miles per hour out of the southeast. Forecast for Friday night, clear to partly cloudy, low of 55 to 60. Saturday, partly sunny and warmer. Again, a high of near 90 degrees. And that's how weather is shaping up for us. And again, no precipitation is in the forecast, at least for the next several days. And
well, how things have changed in so many areas of society, in education, home life, industry, the media, in sexual views, child rearing, and the clergy. That's where we're going to stop and do our feature tonight. One Catholic priest in Chicago has demonstrated two big societal changes. First, that he's a black priest, and second, that he has adopted a son. This remarkable man is Father Clements, and from his desire to give a boy a home has come an effort which has provided homes to 7,000 other homeless children. From CNN comes this heartwarming story.
Speed, turning, marker. Action.
On the south side of Chicago, Academy Award winner Louis Gossett is playing the lead role in the Father Clements story, a real-life drama based on a black Catholic priest who fights the church hierarchy for the right to adopt a rebellious youngster, played by The Cosby Show's Malcolm Jamal Warner. It's a part that comes easily to Gossett because about a year before getting involved with the movie, he adopted his own son.
So this particular story about the first Catholic father to adopt a child is very close to my heart. It comes from the gut, and it's something that myself and Father Clements and others who agree will have to do across this country in saving a generation of children.
Father Clements is thrilled Gossett is playing him.
When I heard that story, it blew my mind, you know, because that's the kind of empathy that I think you need in order to really do justice to this kind of a role.
Maurice is an appealing, sweet child with an easygoing disposition.
Through TV appeals like this one, Father Clements and his congregation at Holy Angels Church have gone on to help 7,000 young people across the country find homes in a program called One Church, One Child.
I hope that when people watch this, they'll say, okay, this is how One Church, One Child got started. You know, and hopefully they want to get involved in it.
As for the success of the adoption program, Father Clements' real son, Joey, attested to it shortly after he was adopted.
We have our little ups and downs, but on the whole, we get along fine, and I just love them.
And perhaps the 7,000 children who also have new homes feel the same way. Eugenia Halsey, CNN, Chicago.
Isn't that a neat story? Well, the sighted, of course, lead the blind many times, and the firm in body lead the infirm, on and on, with the highest reward possible as the outcome: personal growth, happiness, satisfaction, and the knowledge that there is no boundary to what we can do to help others. Father Clements, a very good example of the ultimate in humanity.
And Chuck Carpenter will have all the sports news when we return right after these messages.
Good evening, everyone. The Bobcat girls track team has had an impressive 6-meet winning streak, and they will now gun for another team title tomorrow when they take part in the Big 8 conference meet. The Bobcats have had a great team effort in their meets this year, and their coach, Eldon Ott, hopes that carries over to tomorrow, where on paper the Bobcats should be the favorite.
I think that we have to be the favorite. We're real pleased with our team depth, and I think that's probably will be the deciding factor on Friday night. At least we hope so. We've been able to outdistance those other teams simply because we score in all of the events, and that we can score sometimes with 2 people in those events. And if that holds true on Friday night, we'll have a great chance of winning the conference. If it doesn't hold true, I guess then we're going to be in for a heck of a battle with Fort Dodge, Mason City, and Cedar Falls.
And in the meantime, the Bobcat boys track team will have a meet in Charles City tomorrow. The big adult softball tournament going on this weekend at Marshalltown South 6th Street Complex is the U.S. Auto Bud Light Tournament. The action starts at 6:30 tomorrow night and continues through Sunday. It will be a round-robin format for 12 teams playing 14-inch softball. Most of the teams are local, however, one team is from the Nevada area. The Bobcat girls golf team has just finished up a fine regular season in which they only lost 1 dual meet, and they won the Big 8 Conference Championship. They will now try to qualify for the state meet. The first step in that process comes Monday when they take part in the sectional meet at Cedar Falls. Their coach, Phil Henning, talks about the regular season.
Overall, this season has been very pleasing. We finished our dual meet record with a 9-1 record. We finished that Tuesday down in Newton. We finished 3rd in one tournament out of 8 teams, 2nd in another tournament out of 8 teams, and then we won the Big 8 Conference tournament. So we've shown some good improvement as the season has progressed. We finally figured out who our top 5 girls are now, and they've been working very hard and improving, and hopefully we're peaking at the right time of the season.
And tomorrow I'll have a report on the Bobcat boys golf team. The Bobcat boys tennis team will host the district meet tomorrow morning at the MHS courts. Here at the end of the season, the Bobcats are playing aggressive and smart in both singles and doubles. Their coach is Bob Nutgrass, who talks about the team's goals for tomorrow's meet.
Well, I think the team goals, the guys, of course, want to win the district meet. I think Ames is going to be our biggest competition along with Newton. So I think the guys' goal is to go ahead and win the district. And also, by the same token, they want to try to get to the state meet. So I think our doubles teams and both our doubles players expect to do well.
In the meantime, the Bobcat girls tennis team will have their conference meet this coming Saturday, and I'll have a report on the girls tennis team tomorrow afternoon on TV 39. The 6th annual Hershey's Track and Field Meet will be held next Saturday, a week from this Saturday, at the MHS track from 9 a.m. until noon. All boys and girls aged 9 to 14 are invited, and all the kids will be split into age groups and compete in a variety of track and field events. There is no charge to take part in this event, and all qualifiers will advance to the state meet in Ames on July the 11th. All the registration information can be picked up at the Marshalltown Park and Rec Department, 24.5 North Center Street. And I'll return with more sports right after this. After 3 weeks of racing at the Marshalltown Raceway, let's take a look at the point standings for all 4 classes of racing at the raceway. As far as the late models are concerned, Craig Jacobs, Denny Osborne tied for the top with 108, Jeff Ike, Cedar Falls, followed by Mitch Freedom and Wes Merrick. As far as the modifieds are concerned, Dwayne Van Diest, Conrad, 106, Dave Farron out of Des Moines, 104, Ed Thomas, Larry Grafton, Kevin Pittman rounding out the top 5 there. As far as the stock car is concerned, Greg DeFrance on top from Albion, 114, Rick Gustin, Carlisle, 108, followed by Doug Smith, Darren Slimp and Steve Jackson. And as far as the Thunder cars are concerned, Ron Claycorn from Des Moines is on top, quite a wide margin over Tim Kelly of State Center, Brian Bruns of Marshalltown, Todd Johnson, Terry Barger also of Marshalltown. Tomorrow night is Union Night at the Marshalltown Raceway. Union members get in for half price when they show their union card at the gate. A University of Iowa law professor said FBI agents have talked with him and with football coach Hayden Fry about allegations a professional agent paid 2 former Hawkeyes. Professor David Vernon, a member of the university committee that investigated that incident, said he met twice recently with FBI agents. He said the agents also met with Fry and other officials and asked for a copy of the committee's report. The report said that agent Norby Walters paid 2 Iowa football players. Walters has said he has paid Ronnie Harmon and Devon Mitchell, both of whom are now with NFL teams. Walters has denied breaking any law, although such payments violate Big Ten and NCAA rules. The lineup for this Saturday's Preakness race in Baltimore is set. Bet Twice, the runner-up at the Kentucky Derby, drew the inside post position with Harriman getting second. Phantom Jet is third, followed by No More Flowers. Kentucky Derby winner Ali Sheba drew the 6th spot in the second jewel of racing's Triple Crown. And in baseball notes from today, Don Mattingly hit a grand slam home run. Ricky Henderson and Claudell Washington also whacked home runs as the New York Yankees beat the Texas Rangers 9-1. Dennis Rasmussen got the win. He's now 3-2. Dwight Gooden will pitch in the minors one more time before making his return to the New York Mets. Gooden, who is on the comeback trail following drug rehabilitation, will work 4 innings Saturday night in a game in Lynchburg, Virginia. And finally today, the University of Maryland, which was shocked last year by the death of basketball star Lenny Bias, has unveiled a new drug program. The $300,000 initiative calls for stiffer punishment for drug users, but reduces the random drug testing of athletes. That's a complete look at sports tonight.
Well, thank you very much, Chuck, and we'll be back with a final look at the weather right after this. 90 degrees on Saturday, Jim?
That's possible. We may have some near record levels set over the weekend. It looks like it's going to be pretty dry too. No precipitation is in the forecast. By tomorrow, we should see more of a return to southerly flow of air. Will be returning back in the state, and it's going to keep things dry at least for a few days. So it does look like a rain-free weekend coming up.
It sure was dry out there today. Rain didn't really give us a lot of moisture.
No, it didn't.
That's it for Newscene39. Thanks for watching. Good night.
This has been Newscene39. When you see news happening, call Newscene 752-4122.